In the early 1930s, America was struck by the worst economic downturn in its history, the Great Depression, a time of unparalleled hardship followed by the 1929 market crash. Banks failed, businesses collapsed, and millions of Americans were left without jobs. Unemployment soared as families lost their homes and savings. By 1933, nearly 15 million Americans were out of work, over 25% of the workforce. The country faced not just an economic collapse, but a social and cultural shift that would shape the nation for decades to come.
But practically overnight, an economic blizzard swept the world. In Japan, France, Britain.
Farmers, hit by both the Depression and the Dust Bowl, left their homes in search of work, while the poor urban population struggled to survive in overcrowded cities. But in the midst of this dark era, a new hope was emerging. To combat the crippling effects of the Great Depression, President Franklin D. Roosevelt introduced a series of programs known as the New Deal. This ambitious plan aimed to provide relief, recovery, and reform to the nation on its knees. One of the most impactful programs was the CCC, established in 1933. The CCC employed young men to work on environmental projects, planting trees, fighting forest fires, and building infrastructure. The goal was to provide work for young men while simultaneously providing the nation's park and public lands. By the end of its run, the CCC has provided jobs to over 3 million young men, and their work left a lasting legacy in America's national parks and infrastructure. Charlie, you've been in the CCC for almost a year now. What made you join?
Well, ma'am, it wasn't much of a choice. Work's been hard to find, and when the CCC came around, I figured it was better than sitting around starving or wandering aimlessly. I needed a job, and I wanted to do something worthwhile.
What have you been working on, and how do you feel about the work you've been doing?
I've been working out in the woods, building roads and planting trees. It's hard work, but it feels good to be doing something that matters. The pay ain't much, but it's enough to send some back to home to my mom.
How do you feel about the program, and how has it helped you?
Well, ma'am, I reckon it's saved me. Give me a roof over my head and a meal every day, and it's taught me a skill or two. I'm proud of the work we're doing. I never thought I'd be helping to make the country better, but I feel like we're part of something bigger.
Do you think the CCC could be a way out of the Depression for young folks like you?
Maybe. I reckon if more folks had a chance at it, things might look better. The Depression ain't over, but it feels like the CCC is a step in the right direction.
While many Americans struggled, Hollywood was its own world, buzzing with its own form, excitement. In 1933, one of the most talked about stories was the scandalous divorce of silent film star Mary Pickford and Douglas Fairbanks. The marriage has been Hollywood's most beloved, but it ended in a highly publicized split. Despite the Depression, Hollywood maintained its allure, offering an escape for the public through the silver screen, but even its stars couldn't avoid the drama and gossip that marked the era. Even in the darkest days of the Depression, sports were a bright spot for the American public. In 1932, baseball legend Babe Ruth made headlines not just for his stellar performance, but for the iconic called shot during Game 3 of the World Series. Ruth, ever the showman, pointed to the stands hitting a home run, cementing his place in sports folklore.
And in 1933, as in so many other seasons, Babe Ruth was the Sultan of SWAT. He was past his peak, but in the very first All-Star game, he came to bat with one man on and with poetic justice called a home run to provide the winning margin.
Despite the devastation of the Great Depression, America showed resilience. Through the DEAL programs and the spirit of the American people, the nation began to rebuild the road ahead of so long.